We had arguably the best NFL game of the season this week, plus the NBA preseason started. Action-packed week, and I've got 4 guys to talk to you about.
And I'm here to tell you which cards to buy, sell, or hold.
This is The Forecast. Wilson. I'm happy to be back here with you guys on another episode of The Forecast. It's been a couple weeks since we've gotten to hang out on a Thursday, so I'm happy to be back here with you again. What an action-packed week it has been in the world of sports. I mentioned it on the intro. You had Monday Night Football, arguably the best game of the regular season between the Browns and the Ravens. We are going to talk about a player from that game, what's happening with his card value. Also, the NBA started. I mean, it is NBA preseason. We had 5 seconds off. Especially for us down here, Heat fans. I'm pretty sure you figured that out. Heat fans. We had no time off, Lakers and Heat fans. It's unbelievable. Right back at it, baby. Right back in that saddle. So the NBA is back. We love that here at Sports Card Investor. Of course, that means major ramifications for players' cards. So we are going to talk about a couple NBA players today as well. Now, before I get into any of that, I want to remind you guys to check out our new version of Market Movers, marketmoversapp.com. So go check it out. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps us out here at Sports Card Investor. Jeff will be popping in throughout the program. If this is your first time here watching the forecast, I tell you about some guys. I've got 4 guys for you today. We're going to talk a little sports. I'll tell you what's going on with the players, and then we'll talk about their card value. I'll show you where their card value is at and where it's been. And then Jeff is going to pop in, and he's going to tell you whether he would buy, sell, or hold that player's card. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Now, I mentioned that game on Monday night. That was arguably the best game of the regular season in the NFL. Baker Mayfield, of course, was leading the way for the Cleveland Browns. So let's talk about what's happening right now with Baker Mayfield. Now, of course, when you come into the NFL and you're a Heisman Trophy winner and you're a top pick, the expectations are really high. And that's exactly what they were for Baker Mayfield. People wanted Baker Mayfield to be the saving grace for the Cleveland Browns, and that is no small task when we're talking about that franchise. So, of course, there was a buying frenzy in the very beginning when he's entering the NFL in the beginning of his career. There is a buying frenzy around his cards. And then it cools off a little bit because the excitement around Baker Mayfield starts to subside, particularly last year. Of course, his rookie year was 2018. His sophomore year didn't go so great. It was lackluster. And so his cards started to cool off. Well, enter this season, enter 2020. Baker looks pretty good. Through week 14, he only has 8 interceptions. He's showing improved decision-making, improved accuracy, and even though they lost on Monday night, you did see Baker Mayfield put the Browns in a position to win. I mean, in part, it might have had something to do with Lamar Jackson and whatever was going on with him that caused him to leave the game in the fourth quarter to go in the tunnel, whether it's cramps or something else, like according to the internet rumor mill, maybe a little poopy pants. But whatever happened with Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield capitalized on it when Lamar left the game and the backup QB was in for the Ravens. Baker, I think they were down 14 points at that point. The Browns stormed all the way back. They were leading, I think, by the time Lamar Jackson came back in the game. Of course, the Ravens go on to win it. But what you saw there from Baker Mayfield, you like if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. So let's take a look at what's been happening here with Baker Mayfield's cards. Now, despite losing, of course, on Monday night, Baker's stock has risen. A big game like that only builds on the momentum that he's gained previously this season already. So when he put up over 300 passing yards in week 13 and 4 touchdowns against the Tennessee Titans, you saw a big bump right there. And you can see it right on his card chart where week 13 was in the NFL, and you got a big bump, and that momentum is continuing here. So right after that game, right after it, look at that bump right there. right after that game. It's incredible. It's really easy to see on this chart. This is his 2018 Prism PSA 10. It jumped after that game alone 50% in value, which is big for a frequently transacted card like Baker Mayfield's. So going forward, we're going to need to see Baker continue to progress. Of course, you need more efficiency from Baker Mayfield, more reliability from Baker Mayfield. However, his card is definitely trending the right direction. Let's see what Geoff would do with Baker Mayfield's card.
Amber, if I'm holding Baker Mayfield cards right now, I'm getting ready to sell. Look, you don't really expect the Browns to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs, do you? I mean, the Browns have been a good story this year. I'll give them credit. They've definitely improved from previous years. Baker Mayfield and that entire team has been better than I thought that they would be. And while they're a feel-good story, that feel-good story is going to come to a crashing end in the playoffs. And once it comes to a crashing end, the excitement of Baker Mayfield will probably start to subside somewhat. Look, his card prices have gone up a lot, as Amber just showed you. So if you have Baker Mayfield cards, now is the time to take your chips off the table, cash in on your profits, and reinvest in the next up-and-comer.
All right, let's talk about another quarterback in the NFL. A guy who was not a quarterback earlier this season, a matter of weeks ago. This guy was not a starting quarterback in the NFL, but he became the starter sort of out of necessity. Not necessity because the starter was injured, but necessity because the starter sucks. I mean, there's really no other way to say what's happening with Carson Wentz. He's terrible this season, and nobody really understands why. Of course, Jalen Hurts, he comes in week 14. All the water cooler talk is surrounding the Eagles rookie quarterback, Jalen Hurts. The second round draft pick, I actually was really big on Jalen Hurts in this draft. I really liked him. I thought he was a good value as a second round pick. He's been called on to replace Carson Wentz. And so far, he's not doing a terrible job. So let's talk about Jalen Hurts' cards. Now, Wentz, of course, currently leads the league in interceptions. That mandated this change at quarterback and allowed Jalen Hurts to get the chance, even though Carson Wentz is such a highly paid quarterback in the league. Last week, Hurts' first official start, he led the Eagles to an unexpected victory against the Saints. Of course, the Saints, we know, were 10-2 heading into that game. They're pretty awesome. And Vegas was giving the Saints an 82% chance of winning that game. Jalen Hurts led the Eagles to that win, defying all odds. So Hurts threw for 167 yards in that game. He had a touchdown. He also ran for another 106 yards, obviously a very athletic, mobile quarterback. The Eagles, they don't exactly have a roster full of dynamic playmakers, but Hurts' mobility kind of gives them that, it seems. So that's really helpful for this Philadelphia Eagles offense. Unfortunately for the Eagles, Carson Wentz's contract, we have to mention it here. You're talking about a 4-year, $128 million contract extension that they handed to Carson last year. That deal included $70 million of guaranteed money. So the thing is, the Eagles are not getting out from under this Carson Wentz contract anytime soon. What do you do if Carson Wentz never becomes Carson Wentz again? We only briefly saw him be awesome in the NFL, and so maybe has he lost it? Did injuries take that much of a toll? Maybe that was a flash in the pan, what we did see from him right before he was offered that contract extension. So what happens if Carson Wentz never becomes Carson Wentz? Well, your entire franchise is ruined, because that's crippling when you hand a quarterback that kind of money in a salary cap sport, unless you drafted a savior in the second round of this year's draft. If Jalen Hurts ends up being great, then that Carson Wentz contract still, of course, matters to the Eagles, but it matters a little less, and it hurts a little less, because what you really need at the end of the day to win games is a good quarterback under center. So let's take a look at Jalen Hurts' 2020 Mosaic Silver. Now, over the last 30 days, I think we would expect this now that we're seeing Jalen Hurts start for the Philadelphia Eagles. His card over the last 30 days is up 143% in value. Of course, investors are excited to see him out there under center, and could he be a promise of the future for the Philadelphia Eagles? Let's see what Geoff would do with Jalen Hurts' card. Buy, sell, or hold, Geoff?
Amber, instead of buying Jalen Hurts cards, I would encourage you to buy 2020 football sealed wax. Look, I don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to do from here. Maybe he's going to become the franchise quarterback the Eagles have needed, or maybe not. What I do know is that the 2020 rookie quarterback class is looking strong. Joe Burrow, Tua, and Justin Herbert have already impressed, and now you can add Jalen Hurts to the mix of another 2020 quarterback who could do big things in the NFL. Plus, you've got a guy like Jordan Love, who in a couple of years, he may become the next big thing as well. So in my opinion, take the mutual fund approach of buying stock in all of the 2020 quarterbacks, not just Jalen Hurts, but the other guys as well. And the best way to do that is to buy 2020 football sealed wax and sit on it for a few years.
Now, unless you live under a rock, you've probably heard the James Harden trade rumors, right? I mean, it has been a saga over there in Houston with James Harden. He didn't report to camp forever. He was in a strip club on social media. People were making a big deal out of that. Breaking Rona protocol. Clearly, he had to test negative like 100 times to be allowed around the team. Some people on social media were theorizing that James Harden was putting himself in a dangerous situation in terms of coronavirus exposure there on purpose, so he never had to play for Houston or report to Houston. He has made it very clear he wants a trade. Now, we heard with James Harden first, Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn or bust, right? And then, of course, he expanded his wish list a bit because he doesn't have any of the power here. Houston, the Houston Rockets are the ones with the power. James Harden is under contract for 3 more years, so they don't have to trade the man. So he finally said, okay, we'll add another team. Then we heard it was the 76ers, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat have been getting most of the attention in terms of a destination for James Harden. Now, maybe I feel like that because I'm down here, I cover Miami sports. We talk about it a bleep ton on Miami Sports Radio. But also I think that it really is a destination that could make sense because it's a trade that's viable. Miami does have some good young pieces that they could trade, most notably Tyler Hero. And would the Rockets be interested in a player like Tyler Hero, who's 20 years old, with a seemingly very bright future coming off his rookie deal? And of course, you'd have to throw in some other good young pieces into that deal as well. But the Heat could easily get this done, and Tyler would probably be the main portion of this deal. Heat fans, for the most part, are very attached to Tyler Hero. So even though in James Harden, you're talking about a top 10 player in the league, James Harden's not the most likable player. And I think that this is probably happening with all of these trade destinations, so to speak. People hate to watch James Harden play. So even though I think just about everybody considers him 7th best in the NBA, 9th best in the NBA, probably at worst, it's funny because fans who would normally be vying for a top 10 player in the NBA are not so into the idea of having to root or watch James Harden every night. And will James Harden's basketball look different outside of the Rockets? It's been a minute since we saw him outside of that Houston system. It's entirely possible. It's probably a mixture of the system that he's been under D'Antoni in Houston previously, and also James Harden, and it's what has worked for him, and it's not the prettiest thing to watch, but it's certainly been effective, at least in terms of individual accolades. I realize he hasn't won any championships there. This is Harden's 12th season he's heading into. He's got yet to win a ring. I'm guessing that that's why he wants out of Houston, and frankly, I'm a little surprised that he doesn't want to give his pairing with John Wall a chance whatsoever. I'm surprised that he was so committed to the idea of leaving even after Houston made that trade and seemingly tried to improve. You would think that James Harden would want to see, hey, how good am I going to be playing here with John Wall? Maybe we got something here, but I guess he's already made up his mind. He wants out of Houston. Again, it'll be up to Houston whether he gets out of Houston or not, because they're not in a rush. They don't have to trade him. So let's take a look at James Harden's 2009 Topps PSA 9 and 10. Now you'll see that over the last 90 days, again, lots of trade rumors over the last 90 days, but over the last 90 days, both of these cards have remained pretty stagnant. I mean, except for a few high PSA 10 sales in November, there hasn't been any drastic changes here with James Harden's cards, even though there's been a ton of trade rumors. Now, does that change if he gets traded to a contender? James Harden has said that where he wants to go is a contender. I mean, all right, I want to go to a contender too. Like, who doesn't want to go to a contender? I guess, of course, it's ultimately up to the Rockets, but I guess James Harden could refuse to play. And that's what these teams, if the Rockets decided to trade with a non-contender, would be concerned with. And so then they're not going to trade with the Rockets because they're going to be worried he's going to refuse to play. And he showed a snippet of that, not showing up to camp on time. So would he be willing to sit out if he gets traded to a team he doesn't like? Again, James Harden, 3-year contract. You probably want to get paid for the next 3 years, but he is flexing the semblance of power he has, even if it's not much power that he has in this trade situation. So, Geoff, what would you do right now with James Harden's card? And real quick, I should mention that at the time of taping, all of this about these trade rumors was accurate because for all I know, between now and us posting this, he's going to be on the Miami Heat. So let's hope that hasn't yet happened and that we're still have no idea where James Harden is going to end up. And if that's the case, Geoff, James Harden's card, buy, sell, or hold.
Amber, even though I'm not a big James Harden fan, I do think now is the time to buy. James Harden's card prices are so low compared to where they should be based on two factors. First of all, his play on the court and his comparison to other like players should mean his card prices are much higher. But then second of all, and especially so, his rookie cards are unbelievably rare. The population count of his 2009 Topps rookie card in PSA 10 is 168. There's only 168 of that card in existence. And it's only $1,200, which, sure, $1,200, that sounds like a lot. But if you compare a card that is as rare as that, only 168 in existence for the rookie card, to other players who have thousands and thousands of their rookie cards out there and are even more money than this, James Harden's rookie cards look like an absolute steal right now. So for me, I would take the chance on James Harden landing with an actual contender and him actually being able to make an NBA Finals run with great weapons around him and what that could do to his card values long term. Given how good of a value they are, I am a buy on James Harden.
Now, from one guy causing a lot of waves in the rumor mill in the NBA to another guy who's always causing waves in the rumor mill in the NBA, and it's not because of trade rumors. It's just because of his personality. And that, of course, is Kyrie Irving. He's already at his destination. He's already on the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets look like they might be pretty good this season. Kevin Durant is coming back from injury and never know what that's going to look like, but so far it has looked pretty good in the very short 15 minutes I think we got out of him in the preseason at the time of taping anyway. So he does look healthy, but again, coming back from that injury is a tall task. That injury can ruin careers. You still need to see Kevin Durant and how he bounces back for a more extended period of time. Assuming that KD is healthy, Kyrie's on a very good Brooklyn Nets team. It's going to be an interesting dynamic between Kyrie Irving and KD. But now Kyrie Irving hasn't just been in the news because of his pairing with Kevin Durant lately, and they have been doing the Instagram lives, and they have been saying the things that are newsworthy, at least Twitter-worthy in the sports sphere. But he's also been in the news lately because he's refused to talk to the media, or he's tried to refuse to talk to the media anyways. He issued a statement that he wrote on an iPhone on a notepad and screenshotted it, sent to somebody, it looked like, about how he wasn't going to talk to the media. But he issued the statement to the media. So there was some irony in that. But that's how Kyrie Irving works. He's an interesting individual. And he was, of course, fined $25,000. The Nets were fined $25,000 the first time he missed his media appearances. that's going to, I don't care how much money you have, that's going to really, really, really hurt the bank account at some point. You can't do that day in and day out, particularly in basketball with all the media availability these guys have written into their contract. So then, of course, Kyrie, he shows up, he says that some of those things were misconstrued. It's hard to even decipher what Kyrie's intending or saying half the time, but the point is that Kyrie causes a lot of waves here, and he can be a very unique personality, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him and Kevin Durant. But he's playing on a team with Kevin Durant, and again, a healthy Kevin Durant means a very good team, potentially championship run, and a very good Kyrie Irving probably being able to feed there off of that pairing. So let's take a look at what's happening here with Kyrie Irving's card, his 2012 Prism PSA 10. Let's take a look at the last 3 months, and over those last 90 days, it is up 22% in value. Of course it is, because there's excitement around Kyrie Irving's career. He can be a hothead, sure, but his career hit a little bit of a slump after that 2016 championship that he won in Cleveland alongside LeBron. We know what happened there in Boston. That didn't go well. He ends up in Brooklyn, but KD's injured. So this is the first time now entering this season. You're supposed to have a healthy Kevin Durant. Now Kyrie's supposed to be in a place that he wants to be, and there is a renewed excitement around Kyrie Irving's cards. That being said, let's ask Geoff. Buy, sell, or hold?
Amber, we're talking about Kyrie Irving. We're talking about the guy who still claims the earth is flat. We're talking about the guy who says no one has ever taken a picture of the earth before. That's the guy we're talking about. How can I get behind this? How can I get behind this guy? How can I be anything but a sell? Look, I don't believe in the Nets. I know a lot of people out there do, but I don't really know that this Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving team is really going to work. These are two highly explosive, opinionated players with very thin skin. I mean, Kyrie's already getting into it with the media now. The season hasn't even started yet. I don't have high hopes. I think there's going to be so much drama with the Nets, and I don't know that that drama is going to really lead to the playoff success this year that some people are predicting. I would cash out. Kyrie's card prices have already gone up quite a bit in the last few months, as Amber just showed you. Take the profit, be happy, and invest that money in somebody a little more sane.
All right, guys, so there you have it. That's Geoff's advice. I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of The Forecast. It was fun to hang out with you. The holidays are up against us, so I might not see you again until 2021, at least in this time slot. But because, of course, next week, Christmas, so probably not going to make an appearance, and then we're up against New Year's after that. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me during 2020. I think we're all looking forward to a better 2021. Again, if you haven't done so already, please hit the bell icon, subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's super easy. Do it now. If I don't see you again, please have a very happy holidays. Have a very happy new year. We will be doing, of course, much more of this after the turn of the year. And as always, guys, down the stretch here in 2020, happy investing.